Hey Dave, this is Kevin. Just showing you what I got here. So what you've got your two 14.2s coming in. Those are going out to your new location. Then you've got your 14.3s coming in. Those are coming from your existing location. So here's your two neutrals that are tied together. Over here, we've got our grounds that are tied together. You'll notice I've got a green wire here. That's called a pigtail. And if you look right inside here, you can see that I've got a screw that's going right into there. Let me see if I can zoom in on that a little bit. There it is. So because you're using a metallic box, what you have to you have to bond your grounds to that metallic box, okay? And that just takes a ground tail. And let me so you can just pick them up at Home Depot, and they come in a bag that looks like that. And you just take and bond the ground tail to a ground screw hole. So there's a threaded hole in the back of your box, and you just take and twist it all together. That's how your twist job should look. I guess I can zoom back out. It's a little bit easier. So anyway, moving right along. So the whites are tying to the blacks. Sorry, the whites on your 14.2 are tying to your blacks on your 14.3s. And you can just take and twist all of those together like that. And then, so they're going out to your switch, okay? And then they're coming back on the blacks. And then here we are, we're tying to the reds for each switch leg. Now, you'll notice that I left this stuff fairly long, okay? And the code says that what you want to leave at least 6 inches of conductor hanging out. Not hanging out, but when you trim your Romex, cut it at least 6 inches long, because it's a lot easier to service that, and believe it or not, it's a lot easier to fold it back into the box. Also, you'll notice that I used just a single gang box here. That's just what I had to make up really quick. I would use the 4x4 box that you're actually using, and just stick with that. And then you'll have to get a blank cover when you've got all of this ready to fold back in and you're finished up. All you have to do is put a steel 4-inch by 4-inch blank cover on that box that you have. You'll also notice that I used Romex connectors here. Ignore this hole right here. That was just, if you happen to knock one of these holes out to remove that little piece of sheet metal right there, you have to close that back up. So the reason for that is if there's any arcing or sparking in here, or if you have any mice, they're not going to crawl into that hole, and then the arcs and the sparks won't get out and set your house on fire. You have to seal that stuff up with what's called a KO closure. Sometimes the trade name is a push penny, but KO closure is what it is, and I don't have one on hand, otherwise I'd just show you in the video what we got. But you have to use Romex connectors so that you provide an element of strain relief on your Romex, and it also seals up any voids in here so that arcs and sparks don't come out. You're not using any Romex connectors in your photo, and that was one of the reasons why I wanted to have you stop. They also make these things out of plastic. I hate those things. I much prefer the metallic type of Romex connector. You'll also want to take Romex staples and staple within 6 inches of the box, and probably every 3 or 4 feet after that until you duck down into the wall. And then along your stud, every 3 or 4 feet, you'll want to put a Romex staple to secure your Romex. And then, you know, obviously when you get it all done, you just put good God, wire nuts. you just put wire nuts on there and cap them off, and you should be good to go. You shouldn't have any copper showing out from underneath the wire nut when you have that done. I have these trimmed off probably 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch, so that I can ensure that the wire nut covers the entire thing. But the biggest things that I saw was you did not have a ground tail to bond the steel box. You were not using Romex connectors, and you didn't trim your Romex long enough so that you could splice everything nice and neat. And then your twist jobs needed a little bit of work, but I understand that's kind of your first time, so that's mine weren't very good in the beginning either. So anyway, if you have any questions, give me a holler.